Hey guys, Crewman here, and I'm exhausted. Day one of CES is in the books, and it was everything I hoped it would be and more. The atmosphere is pretty awesome, and it definitely feels like there was a difference watching the keynotes live and in person rather than online. So let me give you my initial thoughts on day one, and let's get right into it. So let's start off with NVIDIA. I know why there was no keynote now. It was basically a pre-recorded video, which I live streamed with a link down below. It was pretty quiet for the most part in terms of what Nvidia released, minus the 40 Super Series and the prices. If you watch my live stream, I would tune in. I would probably tune in to about the 30-minute mark because that's when it starts getting interesting. Basically, the 4070 Super was $600, the 4070 Ti Super was $800, and the 4080 Super was $1,000. I'm not really going to dive into these too much as I've already done some videos on them, and I'll be doing a lot more on them when I get back from CES. So thank you to everyone who live streamed with me today. It was a wonderful time. So after that, I went over to the Mandalay Bay for the press conferences. It's kind of crazy how far everything is from each other. We basically had to Uber it over there. And I wanted to go see SK Hynix's presser, but I found out that it was invite only, which was a real big bummer as I was really, really looking forward to going to it. And I also thought it was weird because it doesn't say on the app that it's invite only either. So we were kind of taken, me and a bunch of other content creators that were waiting in line were kind of taken by surprise. It was a bummer, but at the same time, the TCL presser was going on, so I just kind of went over there, and you make the best of the bad situation. Overall, the TCL presentation was pretty cool, but I don't think that what they had planned correctly read the room. They kind of pushed a sports theme. They had Charles Woodson headlining an ESPN like NFL panel, which was a group of uh, I think it was college football personalities and an NFL host. I'm not really big on a lot of the panels as I just really watch the games, so I don't know. But they were basically trying to say like, who loves football? 2/3 of the people in the world love football, and this is a tech audience, which was not all American. So I think they kind of misread the room. People were kind of like, it was kind of crickets whenever they try to feed off the NFL theme. So I think that they kind of missed the ball there. Uh, but the biggest takeaway for TCL was they're really really pushing the large TVs. They have their mini LED technology. They had a 120 hertz 98-inch TV, which was massive. I liked it because it definitely looked bigger than the 85-inch they've had before, and I saw some content on it before CES. But seeing it in person in CES and just like how big it was, wow! I mean, it's definitely something that gaming on it would be really really cool, and that was kind of like my biggest takeaway about it. And they also had a 115 inch 120 hertz TV, which at that point you don't even need a projector. I don't know. I think it comes down to the price point. Just talking to some people who I don't really want to mention, as I didn't really ask them. Everything they kind of said was off the record. It seems like it's going to probably be between the $3,000 to $5,000 price range, which is definitely affordable. And if I had a way to make a 93-inch TV fit in my or 98-inch TV fit in my house, pretty sure I would. That was really the big thing for TCL. They did some cell phone content, which was okay. The thing that caught my eye was they had some of those phones had giant batteries, which I thought was pretty cool. So next, I just grabbed a quick lunch, and then we went over to the Samsung panel, and I had never seen a line that long. It was massive. It felt like you were waiting for a Las Vegas nightclub, but twice as long. And I don't know. I wasn't sure that we were going to make it in. The lady who was headlining the line was like, "Yeah, I think there's a good shot you'll get in, but there's a spillover room." And we didn't really want to go to the spillover room, but it was a short wait. Like we would find out if we were going to get in within 30 minutes. So we said, "Why not? We'll go, wait in line, and see what happens." So we got in there, and to their credit, the line did go very fast. The hall was massive, and the presentation from Samsung was very, very impressive from a production standpoint. I almost felt like I was at like a concert. Like The atmosphere was great. It was super lively, and it's some of this is definitely not conveyed when you're watching the live stream, from your home. But from a content standpoint, it was what you kind of thought. It was all AI all the time, basically. They did talk a little bit about uh, their new Galaxy laptop, basically with NVIDIA 4070s in them, and they talked about their Neo QLED TVs a little bit, but not really. Basically, with the TVs, it was double the speed of last year, and then they kind of moved on. They're really pushing like fully AI automated smart homes. It was pretty surreal, right? They started off. They didn't start off, but one of the items they had was a fridge that has gestures. So like you swipe up on the fridge and it opens the fridge, which blew my mind. And it had cameras in it where you can look to see what you have in there and if food is going stale or not. And you can like input the data of like how long you've had your food in there and what you normally shop for, and it'll tell you if you don't have it in there. Which is weird. Like I'm not into that stuff normally, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Shopping with kids, it's annoying trying to figure out what I have or not. I think I'd be okay with a fridge with cameras in it. So after that, they kind of showed you how like the more Samsung devices you have, the smarter they all would become, and they could map out your home. They could follow your daily routine and like your pet's routine, and if like someone else was there, you could invite them into your like setup, and then they would track their routine, and if your routine was off, they would like automate like warn you about it. And as they were saying all this, I was pretty much seeing the duh, 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 like the Skynet theme was thumping in my head the entire time. And I'm not into full home automation, so I kind of was like, all right, Samsung, this is cool, but a little too much for me. Finally, though, what I thought was a showstopper from the Samsung keynote was Bali. This thing is awesome. It's basically like an Alexa on wheels. It's like a little robot that if you wanted to play like something on a screen, it'll just like shoot an image out of a camera in itself onto the wall. It rolls around. Apparently, it can like point an antenna and like turn on your smart devices. I'm not into full automation, like I said, but this thing was neat. I would love to own one, and at least definitely I'd love to try one. So finally, we took the monorail, which is definitely the preferred method of transportation to get around right now with how packed Vegas is, to the Las Vegas Convention Center. And we somehow got into the convention center floor while everything was being set up. And they like check you to make sure you're allowed in. And I can't really show any pictures from it because I kind of got in trouble when I was filming some, and I don't want to get in any trouble with the event as I would like to come back next year. So I'm not going to show you those pictures, but it's impressive, and it's kind of crazy that everything didn't fit in there. So finally, we went to the Sony keynote, and it was a lot different than what I thought. I was assuming it was going to be like TCL and Samsung to a lesser degree, where like they just integrate AI into everything. But they didn't. Their focus was on content creators and how they want to do things to help improve content creators using, with their new camera technology and how they have like, basically they have these larger cameras that are just home or, I'm sorry, that are like mobile production studios on the go, which I thought was pretty cool. And as a Sony camera user, you like to see this kind of stuff. And it was cool that they were like saying that, content creators are a big part of how they make money and they want to support them as much as they could. Then they kind of switched over a little bit to PlayStation. They just showed how many how many PlayStation users there are, how they sold a ton of PlayStations, and they showed about how they have like a lot of gaming, like a lot of shows that are, or I'm sorry, a lot of video games that are like become